Once upon a misty autumn evening, two siblings, Ellie and Max, wandered too far into the woods while playing a game of hide and seek. The sun had dipped below the trees, casting long shadows that made every direction look the same. When Ellie finally called out, Max! Max! Give up your hiding spot, said Ellie. She realized she had no idea where they were. As the last traces of sunlight faded, they clung to each other's hands, listening to the rustling leaves and the occasional hoot of an owl. Suddenly, an enchanting aroma wafted through the air, warm, spicy gingerbread mixed with a hint of caramel. Their noses tingling with the delicious smell, they followed the scent through the darkening forest. Finally, they stumbled upon a small clearing, and there in the middle was the most amazing sight. A gingerbread house complete with frosted shingles, candy canes that spiraled along the walls, and gumdrop-lined windows. Their eyes widened with excitement and disbelief. Do you think it's real? Max whispered, barely able to tear his gaze away from a giant chocolate doorknob. It has to be, Ellie replied, reaching out to touch the frosting. Her finger sank into it slightly. It was soft and sweet. Unable to resist, the two began to nibble on the edges of the house. They tasted cookie shutters, licked the frosting vines, and bit into a candy cane doorframe. But as they were happily munching, the door creaked open, and an old woman stepped out, her eyes gleaming in the dim light. Well, well, what have we here? She asked, her voice both kind and mysterious. The children froze, but she simply chuckled and invited them in, offering more treats inside her cozy home. The room was filled with shelves stacked high with candies, jars of sticky honey, and trays of freshly baked pastries. But something didn't feel quite right. Max noticed a lock on the door, heavy and rusted, and Ellie spotted strange scratch marks on the walls. The woman's warm smile now seemed a little too wide, her eyes a bit too sharp. We really should get going, Ellie stammered, inching toward the door. Oh, but you've only just arrived, the woman said sweetly, blocking their path. And it's dangerous out there in the dark, don't you know? Ellie and Max glanced at each other, realizing they had no choice but to play along. They thanked her for the sweets and pretended to feel sleepy, watching her carefully. When the woman stepped away to check on her special tea, the siblings seized their chance, slipping out through a window and fleeing into the night. With the gingerbread house fading behind them, they ran through the forest until the sweet scent was far, far behind. As dawn broke, they finally found the edge of the forest and saw their home in the distance. Tired but wiser, they knew they'd never wander so deep into the woods again, and they'd think twice about taking treats from strangers, no matter how sweet they seemed.